Guys, we have an urgent breaking news coming out. The White House is preparing to unveil a secret Ukraine-Russia peace plan, possibly within days. We're going to see what's going on with this breaking news here, guys. Before I start, for those of you that want to send us letters, a prayer request, you can send it to me, US Santiago, or my wife, Jessica Santiago, at 3432 US Highway 19. Number 2, Holiday, Florida, 34691. And for those of you that want to help and support the channel, we do have the Cash App link and the PayPal link in the comments box and also description box. Thank you again for your support, guys. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for the Cash App. Coffee a day. I really appreciate that, guys. So let's see what's going on here. So the White House is preparing to unveil a secret Ukraine-Russia peace plan, possibly within days. Now, the president team negotiated indirectly with Moscow without Ukraine or Europe at the table. What? The White House is confident and plans to present it to Ukraine. Oh, man. As a fait accompli, saying Zelensky under pressure will have little choice. As for Europe, we don't really care, a senior official says. Okay, so, guys, earlier today, I posted this video. Things went down these last few hours. 25 were taken out, 122 injured, emergency power outages across Ukraine as the Bear Country launches mass missile and drone strike. This link will be in the comments box, but boy, oh boy, they got hit. And this was a massive hit. NATO was on high alert. Poland was on high alert. All right, so let's get with the news here. Let's see what's going on. There's going to be a major announcement within days. All right, so this is coming out from Politico. All right, so I'm just putting out the news here. But again, do me a favor. Again, please hit that like and share the video. I really appreciate it. I received some people's comment saying that their comments are being removed. It's not me. I'm not removing your comments. Likes are being removed, and again, that's something with the platform. So again, the only comments that we remove is if anyone, say blaspheme stuff or go after another individual or cursing and stuff like that. It says here Washington is hoping to establish a new framework for ending the war in Ukraine by the end of the month. Wow. And possibly as soon as this week. Okay, so that would be good news if, this war could end before 2025. That would be amazing. And that would go down the history book. I mean, it was, it's another legacy for the Commander-in-Chief, Donald. However, it appears that the new deal has been in development without Kyiv participation. Maybe they're trying to surprise Kyiv and say, look, we will make a deal. Okay? Maybe they going to give a good news to Kyiv, and at the same time, I think Zelensky is in Turkey. They are discussing peace plans too. So it would be amazing if they could end this war once and for all. Again, leave comments down below, guys. What do you think about this? U.S. news portal Axios reported earlier on Wednesday that the U.S. officials were optimistic about a 28-point plan developed by U.S. Special Envoy for Ukraine, Steve Witkoff. Now, he's out there, Steve Witkoff. And you have Vladimir Putin's Special Envoy, Dmitriev, who met in Miami in late October. Though no Ukrainian or European representative were involved in the discussions. I don't know, guys. What are your thoughts? I mean, Europe? Forget about Europe. But Zelensky, Ukraine should have been involved or something. We don't really care about the Europeans, a White House official told Politico on Wednesday when asked about Europe's involvement in a potential peace deal. Again, this is about, Ukraine and Russia, all right, because it's them two going at it. I mean, Europe has only been the machine feeding Ukraine with weapons and money. But other than that, they don't need to get involved. This is something that's between Putin and Zelensky, Ukraine and Russia. The U.S. is the middle one there. The U.S. is the one that should be involved. Again, not no European. But it says here, neither Moscow nor Kyiv have officially confirmed that any new peace negotiations are underway. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry told Russian business daily RBC on Wednesday that Moscow had nothing new to report on the U.S.-Russian talks since the summit in Anchorage in August. However, Dmitriev expressed satisfaction with the ongoing negotiations in a comment given to Axios on Monday, saying, "We feel the Russian position is really being heard." Steve Witkoff, meanwhile, was expected to meet with Zelensky in Turkey on Wednesday. So there are some meetings going on, very important meeting when it comes to this peace plan. But postponed the trip. What? Postponed the trip for unknown reasons. What? All right, so this is something new here, guys. We did talk about this yesterday, that Steve Witkoff and Zelensky in Turkey to discuss the peace plan. But it was postponed, the trip. I was not aware of that. Instead, Army Secretary Dan traveled to Kyiv. So you have a U.S. Army secretary out there traveled to Kyiv this week, accompanied by 2 4-star generals. Oh, man. And other senior U.S. military officials. So you have some very important generals out there. In the highest level visit by the Trump administration to Ukraine since February, Politico has reported. So they were out there at the same time Russia was dropping a hammer last night. The delegation was slated to meet with Ukrainian military leaders, lawmakers, and Zelensky from Wednesday, though it is unclear whether the meeting with Zelensky has gone ahead, as he is currently on a visit to Ankara. Now, the mood inside the White House is bullish, Political wrote, with Donald hoping Zelensky would accept what's on offer due to pressure on the battlefield and the ongoing corruption scandal involving officials linked to Zelensky administration. Here's the thing. He needs to accept. Zelensky, we cannot be holding your hand 24/7. We can't be giving you billions and billions and billions of dollars and sending all these equipments. The bear is not going to stop. They're not going to quit. They're not going to wave their white flag. They're not going to come to the round table and give you the territory that they annexed. It's not going to happen. They took your territory. It ain't going to happen. You're not going to get those territory back, the Eastern Donbass region and I think Crimea. Again, you're not going to get them back. But Donald is right. You can't win a fight. You can't win a fight with someone who's bigger than you. You can't. End it right now before you lose more territories. Zelensky is saying, no, we're not going to end it. Well, again, let's wash our hands and get out of there. Let them figure it out. You just can't. So the U.S. hopes to reach new peace deal on Ukraine as soon as this week. Now, give me a second here, guys. I want to see if I could find some more information about this story, but there is a lot more updates. But he extended martial law. He extended martial law. Zelensky extended martial law, which means that he's going to be in power for another, I guess, 6 months or something like that. In other words, he canceled the election. And Donald is saying, let the election happen. Let the people decide. You don't need to be doing martial law stuff. It says here the U.S. is working with the Bear Country to draw up new plans to end the nearly 4 years of all-out war in Ukraine, according to a new report. The new 28-point plan broadly focuses on a peace settlement for the Eastern European country, security in Europe, more widely guarantees built into a future deal and what America's future relations with Moscow and Kyiv will look like, Axios reported on Tuesday. Ukraine and broader Europe have long been concerned that they will be cut out of talks to land on a settlement to bring the war to a close, and that a U.S. broker deal directly with Russia could damage the interest. I just feel like Europe is the one they just keep provoking. Well, we don't like the deal. Too bad. It ain't your war. Man, mind your business. This is about Crane and the bear. So Donald has broadly overseen a thaw in relations with the Kremlin, mostly reluctant to force Vladimir to compromise at the negotiating table, although the White House did institute fresh sanctions on Moscow last month, and Donald had criticized the Bear missile strike in Ukraine. Once again, Donald had pledged to end the Russia-Ukraine war in just 24 hours after his January inauguration. But many months of talks have failed to yield an agreement inked by both Kyiv and Moscow. Ukraine agreed to a U.S. proposal in March. One thing I tell you, I give credit to Donald. He did not, he's not like Joe, all right, with all this crazy money sending and stuff like that. And, Donald said, you're going to have to pay us back. Zelensky said, no, it was a gift. We don't have to pay you back. Thanks, Joe. How much was that? Over $200 billion you gave that man? Unbelievable. And I remember, again, every week they were sending billions to you. I mean, it was insane. And during time of hurricane, North Carolina didn't have no funds. And here's Joe sending billions to that biblical war. U.S. Floridians and North Carolina citizens only got like $600 check one-time payments. Meanwhile, again, Zelensky received billions. The bear invaded Ukraine in February and now control roughly a fifth of the Ukrainian territory. Moscow has controlled Crimea, the peninsula to the south of the mainland Ukraine, since it annexed the territory from Kyiv in 2014. That was under Barack administration. It says here, a U.S. official told Axios that U.S. President Special Envoy for Russia, Steve Witkoff, is taking the lead on plan, working closely with Russian negotiator Dmitriev. Now, Dmitriev, the head of Russia's Soviet Wealth Fund, has been a prominent part of negotiations. He told Axios earlier in the week he has spent several days with Steve Witkoff and other U.S. officials during a visit to the U.S. late last month. We feel the Russian position is really being heard, Dmitry said. This is likely to cause alarm in Kyiv, as Ukrainian officials have a mercurial, often fractious relationship with the U.S. commander administration. The U.S. commander has seemingly flip-flopped in his view of Ukraine. The Republican said in August that Kyiv would not reclaim Crimea, but in remarks the following month said Ukraine is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form. That ain't gonna happen. I just don't see the bear giving up Crimea and all those territory that they annexed. I just don't see that happening. The U.S. commander may be taking Putin temperatures, probing whether the Kremlin is becoming more receptive to peace talk. Alexander, the chair of Ukraine Parliamentary Foreign Affairs Committee, said, now Ukraine cannot have a deal imposed on it. He told Newsweek, adding that Ukrainian leader Zelensky would need a seat at the table in a meaningful talks. There is little indication that peace discussions are advancing in any meaningful way, except for negotiation on prisoners of war exchanges. Dmitry said earlier this week that Russia and the U.S. had discussed a potential prisoner exchange. The U.S. commander has sent senior Pentagon officials to Kyiv for talks this week, including Army Secretary Dan. The Wall Street Journal reported, citing anonymous U.S. officials. Driscoll would then meet with Russian representative, according to the report. So you have some very important generals, very important people out there that is trying to figure out how to end this war ASAP. The president has been clear that it is time to stop this biblical war and make a deal to end it, man. A White House official told the outlet the U.S. commander believes that there is a chance to end this senseless war if flexibility is shown. I agree with Donald. It needs to end. I mean, this thing is just getting out of control now. Ukraine has insisted that ceding territory to the bear is off the table because it goes against the country's constitution. Kyiv has said it needs security guarantees from Western backers, but no limits on the size of its military, and for an agreement to look humanitarian issues like prisoner exchanges and the return of the young ones taken from the bear-controlled areas of Ukraine. Ukraine has also lobbied to stay firmly on its path to NATO and European Union membership. The bear demands have remained far from what Ukraine appears willing to accept, including Ukraine abandoning its hopes of joining NATO in favor of neutrality. Moscow has also said Kyiv must slash the size of its military and put the bear language on equal footing with Ukrainian. The bear, Russia, has pushed for the recognition of its control over the annexed regions and is thought to be pursuing a deal which would see Ukrainian control parts of the eastern Donetsk and Luhansk region to Moscow. The Kremlin has declared Donetsk and Luhansk Ukraine industrial heartland, collectively known as the Donbass, along with the southern Kherson and Zaporizhia regions, as annexed territory and now part of Russia. And that's what Zelensky does not want. He's like, we could end the war, but I want my territory back. You know what the bear is saying? It ain't gonna happen, dude. That's the reason why this war is not ending, because those territories. Dmitry said that the talks were progressing with the background of the bear definitely having additional successes on the battlefield. The bear has in recent months seized several settlements in the Donbass region and enter in Dnipropetrovsk region west of Donetsk for the first time. But its territorial gains have come slowly and with high casualty counts, according to the Ukrainian and Western officials. So what people are saying? Well, an unnamed Ukrainian official told Axios, we know the Americans are working on something. Ukrainian President Zelensky said after large scale of the Russian strike across Ukraine early on Wednesday, every brazen strike against ordinary life proves that the pressure on the bear is still insufficient. Effective sanctions and assistance for Ukraine can change this. Nope. Sanctions is not going to work. Dude, sanctions never works. I don't know why he keep asking to sanction the bear. The bear has been sanctioned many times and it's not working, Z. You know what needs to happen? You need to let election happen and let the people decide whether they want you or someone else in the spotlight. I believe it's very important for the election. It's time for Z to go because it's just a never-ending cycle. It's the same thing for the past almost 4 years in this biblical war. There's nothing changing. The only thing that is changing are the numbers. Innocents are being taken out, soldiers out, but the war remains the same. There needs to be a new face. And yeah, we're gonna see what's gonna happen in the next few days. The White House is gonna announce something big, and according to some sources out there, is about ending the biblical war. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Till next time later. Peace.